Hi, welcome to the show. This is Matt Mod Stuff. I'm Matt and I mod stuff. Today we're going to be doing a really quick video. Um, oh, you know what? Hold on. Check, 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 check. Okay, yeah, we're good. Sorry, just checking my audio. We're going to make this a quick video. Um, oh, shit. No, we're good. Okay. We're going to be making a mic cable today. I'm going to solder on a mic. Um, an XLR connector real quick. I'm actually going to be removing it from an old cable and putting it on a new one. So this is our old cable. I want to make something a little bit more robust for my setup. So I'm going to be using this thicker jacketed starquad cable. So let me hold this up so you can see what this looks like. So this is like kind of a challenging cable to solder to if you don't know the tricks. So that's what we're going to do today. We'll go back to the table. All right, pull this down a little bit. Bear with me. Oh, cool. All right. So for Star Quad or any mic cable, I guess, let's start with our cable. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off so we don't have to have this on screen. We're going to open up our mic cable. Every mic cable has 3 pins. So you're only ever going to solder three conductors, typically 2 conductors and a ground wire. So this cable is just your average 2 conductor cable. It's assumed that a ground wire is with that. Sometimes you can specify and say 2 conductor with the ground or drain, something like that. So you can see here, we've got um, this. It's a little melted. It's okay. We'll make it work. But this is just like your generic XLR. So we're going to remove this. Our soldering iron is on. We're going to screw this down. Okay, there we go. And what I like to do, be very careful because you can flick solder back at yourself. Very gently kind of bend it back. Oh, see, I definitely flicked it onto my hands. Wear glasses, protective eye, wear. It's really important. So you can get some pliers if you want and like kind of pull it out, but it still might flick. So just be careful. The first one's always the worst. The last one never really flicks. So there's actually not a lot of solder in here. So there's 2 mentalities when soldering. You could use very little or you could flood it and use a lot. I like to use a lot. I want to make sure there's good contact with the connection between the wire and the base. And the less oxygen that's there, the better. So if you don't fill that in, there's more surface area for oxygen to interact with that connection. You want to have a gas free connection. As little gas involved as possible, which is oxygen. And that's after the fact. So I'm going to go ahead and top this off because I think it needs it while it's here. So I like to do it until it bubbles up like that. Let me zoom in. Yeah, let's see. Let's get that properly in focus too. So see how it's got quite a bit of solder in there now? These are pretty hollow. So you really can't add too much. You can overheat it. So don't overheat it. Oh, whoa. See, I fed way too fast and it like did something weird there. So we'll just top all these off because, like I said, I like them full. Okay, so now let's prep our star quad cable. Here it is. I've already kind of shown it to you, so you can kind of see there's some different colors in there. So we're gonna strip this. I just strip with the blade part of the smaller gauge, higher gauge less thick cable. So the higher gauge you go, the thinner the cable is. I'm not sure why. So we're just going to rotate that there. We're not even going to cut all the way through. You can see it's not all the way, but if we kind of bend it, it'll snap. You're not really going to break anything. Eventually, it's going to rip off. You might have to go and just, yeah, there we go. Sorry, that wasn't in focus, but you get the point. So that's our shield. We need to get this out of the way and free up all the cable. And we actually want to use that as our ground, as our drain wire. So we need to kind of unbraid this. You can actually use a screwdriver to do this faster if you just kind of use it to get under and pull up. You will rip some of it occasionally, but honestly, as long as most of it retains, you're going to be just fine. You don't need this part to be shielded anyway. So we did strip a lot back. We probably could have stripped back a lot less, but we'll see. So we'll get this all the way back. And there's some like paper and string in here. So we're going to turn this starquad, which is technically a 4 conductor with a shield, that we're going to, I'll use the shield as a drain, as our negative, or sorry, not as our negative, but as our ground on our connector. And I'll show you how we're going to make this look nice. It's going to be great. So rip all this up. All the paper, there's paper in this too. Not all cable is going to be this like crazy. These guys have quite a bit of shielding. You really want to get all that in control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist this. Okay, normally I would use some very thin heat shrink. I'm not sure that this is going to fit very neatly. Let's cut the tip. So we'll twist here. So we'll kind of, oh, yeah, I need my flush cuts for that. That's any like Klein. Well, I love Klein. They're my brand, but at the same time, these don't do a good job of cutting stranded, even though they say stranded straight on the thing. So we want to cover this in heat shrink. Perfect. And I just use a lighter if you got one. Just don't use the tip of the blade, or the tip of the flame. Use the base of the flame. Hold it sideways and just shoot. You don't need to hold it on there very long. Maybe you cut the cotton stuff first so it doesn't like all burn up in your face. The string here. So, star quad is 4 conductors. We're going to turn this into 2 conductors by combining them. This gets really messy if you try to solder 2 cables into one terminal. It's hard. But I'm going to show you a tip. We've already got the ground controlled with heat shrink. So we're going to strip these and we're going to put heat shrink around the pairs. So this cable is supposed to block interference because it's splitting up the signal and spinning it through the wire. So we're going to strip these back. Honestly, this is a lot of, oh, before we get too far along, we should make sure we put on the connector base, the base of the connector. See? So on. Okay, so we got our shrink. Uh, one other thing I like to do is get another piece of heat shrink, go around all of this, and we're going to shrink that up. Just move quick with your lighter. You're not going to burn anything. If you sit there and hold it, you will. Just move quick like that. See? This is nice. You could get a longer piece. This is just what I have. I have pre-cut stuff. It's okay. All right. So this is all a bit long. I don't need it to be this long. So we're going to trim some of this back. No, we're going to use our flush cuts. We're just going to use those for stripping. They're kind of dull. There we go. That's probably a good length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the two blues, if I can separate them. I'm going to strip them, and I'm going to twist them together. And you're looking for about 1/4 of an inch. Depends on the, look, it like stretched. So make sure you're using the right gauge, but this wire is very thin. So, okay, so we got two pieces. We're going to twist them together. And we're going to solder those together. So we're going to move that. We're going to solder this this pair. So this is going to help keep it together. But this isn't the last step. We're going to do one more treatment to this. So nice amount of solder. Some of the jacket's gonna retreat back. That's okay, because we melted it. We knew we were going to. So then what I do is I take a little bit of this black heat shrink. It's a little bit thinner, and I put it around the two pieces. And then I'm gonna heat that up. And that's what we're going to use to actually attach it to the XLR. So we're going to trim just the tip, make it look nice. That's going to make really good contact. Very little oxygen is going to be able to hit that. So let's do the white and yellow. Twist those together. Oop. Oops, I guess I left some spring in my pliers. All right, we're gonna hit that with a little bit of solder. I prefer lead-free solder. Uh, it does have flux in it. Flux is really what you don't want to be breathing in when you're soldering, so be careful of how much flux you're inhaling when you're soldering. This just needs to be like a little strip. You can go really low, like slim with this. It doesn't have to be a lot. You want to be able to see the colors underneath, right? So we're just gonna hit this with we're gonna pick it up. Just bam. Okay. These are pretty much all the same length. We need to strip back a little bit of our, and we're gonna tin. Tinning is what we, that means we're gonna put solder on the cable that we're about to solder to the connector. And this is gonna allow it to mate with the connector a lot easier. It just goes in, everything's hot, it's soldered, it doesn't have to. Oh, weird. That was a Weird loop. All right, whatever. Okay, we're gonna solder. I'm gonna trim back just a hair of this ground. We don't need a whole lot. Just needs to get melted and hang out in there. Okay, so you see, we're gonna get real close. Let me change the focus. I'm gonna keep the camera where it's at because I want you guys to see there's a number there. Number one. It's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, you can see it. There's a one. We're upside down. Let's twist it. But you want to solder it upside down because of the cups, basically. But we'll look at the numbers. So we got, what is this? One, uh, two, and three. Where's three written down? Oh, it's there. It's right there. I can see it. I'm not sure if you can. It's very kind of hard to tell. Okay, but it's there. You can trust me. Um, so the way I remember the order of this is you always want to be grounded when you're working with stuff. Like it's really important when you're working with electronics. So ground is always the first thing we're gonna do. So remember, I flipped this upside down. So this is one, two, and three. Make sure you know where you're soldering. Double check your stuff too. So what we're going to do is we're going to heat this up. You want to be quick, but there's a lot of solder here, and it's good to do it when the solder's still hot. So we're just going to shove that right there. Yep, that's in. So be quick, but don't let it um, be a cold solder, which is when you take cold metal and you solder it and expect it to stay. Like you're just kind of feeding soldered, but it doesn't quite incorporate with the thing that you're soldering to it. Tinning really helps with that because as soon as you make contact with more solder, it really absorbs that heat and disperses. So it's good. So if I want, I could actually just kind of come in here, hold it back here. We're just going to heat it up one more time just to make absolutely sure everything's good and incorporated. Oh yeah, once the whole thing, you can see it's a little loose, but it's fine. Just don't fucking sit there and hold it forever. There's a lot of solder, so it's not like it's gonna just melt everything. There's a lot of stuff to disperse in there. So I'm gonna use my um, white and yellow as my lead, which is the positive signal. So you got ground, positive, and negative. If you guys are interested in learning about balanced audio and what is balanced audio and how it works, I'd love to do a video on that. Let me know. Give me a comment if you'd be interested. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this. One of my tips is to kind of bend this cable so that you can just kind of press it in once the solder's hot. And it's going to save you a lot of pain with your fingertips because yeah, if you try to like needle it in, it it never goes your way. So you want to lay it in like this, and it just kind of like shoot, it just sinks in, and you don't have to like pinch it. You just push it with one finger. Watch. I didn't pinch it, I pressed it in. It's just an easier thing to do. I don't have to think about it. You'll see me do it here too. So I can actually manipulate this whole thing now. This is going to be fine. This is plenty of solder. You're not going to fray your cables like doing this. Like, so you can be a little rough with it, honestly. All right. Let's heat this up. Push it in. See that? Let go. Let it incorporate before you let go. Make sure you kind of see it all melt together. And that is how you solder an XLR cable, starquad. Um, you could try to move some of this heat shrink up. Some people put heat shrink on their cable and then they wait until it's soldered to put over it. Um, I just don't care. None of these are ever going to bridge. If you're concerned about air contact, I understand it can oxidize over time, but the cable itself is pretty much completely covered. The outer part of this will oxidize over time. The inside, not so much. That's why I recommend a lot of solder. Don't do it so much that it's spilling out, but you can see these are very controlled. Um, One downside to this is it can get messy if you try to change this out. You can see this one has been changed out before. It's got a bunch of flux around it. You can see. You could clean that up with some alcohol and basically be fine. You just don't want to be able to pull these out. And these aren't moving at all. If you're worried about it, just heat them up, push them in, hope they stay. I don't know. That's uh, that's all you can do. So let's finish this. We're gonna zoom out just a hair while we put this together. Really, it's just this one last piece because we have our base. This is basically like it's a clamp. It clamps around the cable and keeps it in place so that it doesn't slide, so that the force is not on the connector itself. So what you do, you slide this on, and then there's a groove right there. You can kind of see it. Yeah, right there. Yeah, right there next to my tip of my thumb. And then that groove lines up with this little like notch thing. And it really only fits one way. So we're going to shove that in. And this needs to be all the way in or this won't sit right. And then we're going to pull this till it meets. We're going to spin it on. And that is basically how you make an XLR at home. Um, yeah, starquad. You can do the same thing with, some cheap mic cable. This is some 9451 from Belden. This is what I've used in a lot of professional installations. You can get this for like 1,000 feet, like maybe 250, but with tariffs and everything, it's probably like up to like three something. So you can see this doesn't have as much shielding around it. Sorry, out of focus. This doesn't have as much shielding around it, but it does have a little bit of shield, which is good to block out interference, just not as much. And then the Star Quad has the braid around it, which is really good for shielding. This just has this, so this is very thin. And the Star Quad actually has a very nice thick jacket that, while you shouldn't be stepping on your cables, at the end of the day, if you're going to step on a cable, I'd rather it be this than like that. You know what I mean? Like just the jacket is almost like how thick this is all the way around. So yeah. Um, I think the conductors on this are a little thinner, but because you're combining them, it actually ends up being pretty nice. So yeah, that's that's how you do it. So I might edit this video down to make it a little shorter, but hopefully that teaches you guys how to solder XLR connectors. Cool. This has been Matt Mod Stuff. I Mod Stuff, and have a great day. Oh, hold on. Ah, I found my mouse. I can